It's time now for a look at the latest in local news. In the news, the City of Jesup Commissioners met Tuesday for a work session at 6 and their regular meeting at 7 p.m. At the work session, the discussion of putting public participation back on the city agenda took place. Board member Pamela Schumann pushing for public participation on the city agenda to begin in the month of October. Here were some of her comments at Tuesday's work session.
Another item of mine, we meet, is it every first and third Tuesday? I was thinking maybe on the third Tuesday, and I don't remember which one would have been just a regular meeting session versus a public participation, a regular session versus a work session. Those were the two things that we had right before I came on. I believe those were the two types of meetings we had right when I came on, and then we decided to do them all at 7 in this location and did not have a difference between a work session versus a regular meeting. So I didn't want to overwhelm us with public participation. Maybe we could go to it being on every meeting later on, but I know that we talked about beginning in October that we put public participation on as an agenda item. And so we needed to talk about it now before October arrives. So I was wanting to propose that it be on the third Tuesday of the month, to put that item on here. And we may never ever have public participation, but it's just a reminder that the floor is open for a person who wants to talk about those items that Attorney Connor mentioned that's written in our charter. There were 3 or 4 items that we reviewed a few weeks ago, and I think, to me, just the line item being there will remind us that, hey, they do have that opportunity or right to come in and speak during that time, but the mayor will have to keep them in check. And I hate to use the word keeping them in check, but just to make sure that it's a respectful type relay of information to us. And what were the umbrellas or topic? Oh, thank you. That's what I was looking for.
The charter's pretty clear about people addressing the board.
Right.
And I'm more for the charter about it. So, they have to be respectful.
It's
They have
stepping one and passing the others on.
They have to come to the front. They gotta announce who they are. They have to address only the panel. They can't address a division list commissioner, get some interchange with them. And it still have to be respectful of both parties. I really don't. The county does it, the school board does it, they don't have a problem with it. I don't foresee us having a problem with it. I do believe people just have opportunity to vent to the point, as long as they're being respectful to the timetable. So if y'all do decide to do this, I'll assure you that I'll do my part to keep it respectful.
City Commissioners have decided they will put public participation on their third Tuesday of the month agenda. They asked if you want to be on the agenda under public participation that you go to City Hall and sign up by 12 noon Friday before the Tuesday meeting. Another topic under the work session was the Downtown Development Authority, as they currently do not have a director. City Manager Rose Marcus says they have an interim director, Tracy Smith. Members of the DDA on hand at the meeting as they were invited, but they stated that they had no idea why they were invited. Discussion centered around funding for the DDA and the possibility of the DDA getting away from the city and being their own entity similar to the Tourism Board. Currently, the hotel motel tax helps funds the DDA. Again, it's divided though between the city, the Tourism Board, and the DDA. Currently, the Tourism Board gets 5%, the city 1%, and the DDA 2%. Commissioner Tim Caulfield said a work session is needed to discuss the disbursement of the funds, possibly give more to the DDA and take away from the Tourism Board. Joe Roddy says that's not right, as the Tourism Board has their budget already in place, and you'd be cutting their legs out from under them without any notice. DDA members said they would like to be their own entity, but they need funding for that. They said the first thing needed, though, was the naming of a director, part-time, to get the ball rolling. Again, a meeting's been set up for next Wednesday at City Hall, and more discussions about the DDA and funding will take place at the meeting. But all agree that the DDA is vital importance to the downtown area of Jesup. Once again, they state that priority number 1 is to hire a part-time director. That's a look at the work session for the city at 6 p.m. We'll come back to take a look at the 7 o'clock meeting right after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Once again, the city of Jesup had 2 meetings yesterday, the work session at 6 and the regular meeting at 7. During the meeting at 7 o'clock, they had an hour-long executive session. During the meeting, discussed personnel with the announcement when they came back to regular session, no action was taken. And they went into executive session during the meeting, allowed those in the audience to just sit an hour before coming back to regular session. Most people left. Other news from the meeting, the building inspector, Don Heron, updated dilapidated houses and asked the commissioners if they have any dilapidated houses in the district to simply notify him. They congratulated Ernest Eugene Robinson with the wastewater treatment plan for his Class 3 certification. Passed it on his first attempt. Supervisor Patrick Martin says the test has an 89.6 failure rate. And our congrats to Ernest Eugene Robinson for passing that test. Finally, in the news, the city of Jesup passed a resolution in support of protecting the Okefenokee Swamp from mining. Peggy Riggs and Betty Benner on hand. Again, they've been pushing the resolution from the city. The county is doing the same. Tim Caulfield thanked those for bringing the item to the council's attention. Again, the resolution was written up and signed and will be sent to Atlanta. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes of news, government agencies meeting this morning at the William A. Zorn Airport at 8:30 a.m. to discuss SPLOST funding and the breakdown of the funding for each government agency. Several want the percentage breakdown based on population. Again, that discussion taking place today at the Wayne County Airport. We'll have a full report tomorrow here on the local news. The SPLOST vote takes place in March of 2024, but the referendum has to be sent to the state 3 months prior to the election to have it put on the ballot for the registered voters in Wayne County to vote yes or no to continue the SPLOST funds. Once again, that meeting taking place today at the William A. Zorn Airport at 8:30 a.m. City of Jesup has several contested races for public office in November, and we continue to interview the candidates on the world-famous Bitch and Bob Show. We have a candidate for Mayor Tyrone Johnson set to join us next Tuesday. Mayor Johnson, running for the second time for the City of Jesup mayor position, was unsuccessful last time, losing to the current incumbent Ralph Hickox. Again, Tyrone Johnson set to join us Tuesday morning. City Commissioner candidate in District 1, Ray Reddish, will join us a week from tomorrow, Thursday of next week. He and former Police Chief Perry Moore, the two candidates in District 1. Again, Rick Reddish, the former city commissioner in that district, again, will join us a week from Thursday. And this Friday, candidate Jonathan McCullough, he's a candidate in District 4 for city commissioner. He's running against Margaret Rawls. Jonathan McCullough joins us this Friday. We're still looking to line up Katrina Dumas and Margaret Rawls. Since we secure a date for those two candidates, we'll pass that information along here on the local news. Once again, the election set for November. All three seats in the cities, District 1, 4, and 5, and the mayor's race, all contested. Again, all to be decided this November. And in Odom, Georgia, in celebration of the October release of Reba's upcoming lifestyle book, Not That Fancy, Simple Lessons on Living, Loving, Eating, and Dusting Off Your Boots, and companion album, Not That Fancy, Poplar Farms is preparing to open a country music maze honoring the longtime legend. The 10-acre maze is scheduled to open on Saturday, September 30th. While navigating the maze, guests will look for clues and play in interactive games, quizzing them on how much they know about the country music legend. Participants will enjoy photo ops, music, and prizes along the way. Poplar Farms is one of 40-plus farms featuring Reba McEntire in their maze this year. Collectively, the farms, which are designed by the Maze Incorporated in 24 states across the U.S., reach more than 1 million visitors during the fall season. Reba McEntire says while she admits being in a maze is one of the more unique things she's ever been invited to be a part of, she couldn't be more excited to be involved with some of the things that matter most to her: family, farming, and friends. She says, growing up on a ranch in Oklahoma, I know how important agriculture is, and I love being involved with something that brings more people out to farm across the country for good, wholesome fun. Once again, the maze gets underway September 30th at Poplar Farms in Odom, Georgia. That's going to do it for the latest in the local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan, have a great day.